Hi, this is Tony Osoba, and you're listening to Mark Who 42.
Welcome to Mark Who 42, a geeky internet podcast. We are coming to you live from Tatooine. My name is Ben Kenobi. No, I am not related to Obi-Wan. My name is Ben. It's always been Ben. Who is this Obi-Wan person? He sounds like a great guy. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's me, Eduardo M. Freyre. I'm just messing with you because I like playing with your mind. I'm evil that way. And hey, I'm joined today by
Vicky Jakubowski.
And we're of the same cloth, so you're in trouble.
Yeah. God help the world today.
And we're also joined by
Zion Quiros,
who is, at last check, not evil. Unless you're tricking everybody.
Last checked.
Are you like Jar Jar? You're not like Jar Jar in that Robot Chicken sketch, are you?
Oh, no.
Where like you pretend to be good and then all of a sudden you're going,
That is not fair. Do not say that. He is not Jar Jar.
Oh, no. Just
So he's not Jar Jar being secretly evil.
No, just give me emerging powers when things get bad, and I'll totally not cause an empire. You know.
Sure you won't.
Just a tad of the dark side?
Slight tad.
Just a slight one. Just a little pinky, right?
Just a little tiny pinky, yeah. Because, I mean, hell, cool dark robes. Anyway, based off all the, I'm sure you can tell that based off all the joking and whatnot that we're doing, that we're going to be talking some Star Wars today. But hey, specifically, we are going to be talking about the just completed Disney Plus Star Wars series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, as usual, spoilers are going to be dropped. So if you have not watched the entire series, go watch it now. We can wait. Just go, finish up. We're fine. You hit the pause button, watch the series, come back. We'll wait for you. We're that patient. Of course, if you're listening to this now on SUBSPACE Radio, you're kind of stuck. So you should have finished before you listened. Shame on you. Shame. Now, don't complain when you hear spoilers. And with that, well, I just got to say that I have to admit, when I first heard about the series, I was a little skeptical, mainly because, I don't know, I was like, okay, you're going to have an entire series of him just chilling in the desert? I mean, you know, we were led to believe that
it had to be more than that.
Yeah, well, because I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, we know that he went to Tatooine at the end of Revenge of the Sith, but it's like, okay, is he supposed to like just, you know, like how are they going to do this? And then the first little teaser came out, and I'm like, okay, all right, okay, so it looks like he's going to be taking a little field trip, okay, and then we had the first episode, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'm invested. And then as it went on, I'm just like, okay, I'm here for this. Bring on all the things. And yeah, it ended in this great, incredible finale, which just had me like, holy cow. So yeah, I mean, even in the beginning when it's just like, okay, how is this going to work and not like totally break continuity? Yeah, eventually it's like, okay, I see what they did there. Wow. So yeah, I started off guardedly optimistic and then ended incredibly impressed. Vicky, what about you?
Well, it's funny because my initial reaction was the opposite. My initial reaction was yes, and then it was, what are they going to do? And then it was, okay, you know what? I have been pleasantly surprised by just about everything. So don't judge. But I also chose not to read anything hear anything. Tried really hard. There were some things you just couldn't because it made a headline, and you couldn't watch the news without going, "And Hayden Christensen resumes Star Wars." It's like, well, okay, now I know he's back.
Yep. I will say that
I was very, very pleasantly surprised by all of it, and I have to say that I realized by the second episode I had kind of a Rogue One feeling, where it did a beautiful job of stitching from the end of one to the beginning. Well, technically, I should say the end of 3 from the first prequel to, or from the prequels to the regular original. What do we call them now? OG? I don't know.
I just say original trilogy.
Okay, original. So the continuity, which you get a little bit of it in Rebels and Clone Wars and Rogue One. I very much enjoyed all of those movies and shows. So I was really hoping, is it going to be like that? And I felt like it was. It had the same feeling to me.
Yeah, and I have to admit, when I heard about Hayden Christensen coming back, I'm like, so are we going to have like a series of flashbacks? Is that what they're going to do? And then, once I saw what they did, I'm just like, I'm here for it. Zion, what do you think?
Well, I was just like you. Like I don't know how everyone else takes episode 4 in this group, but it's my favorite Star Wars movie.
Oh yeah,
because it's the only movie I think
Number
of
one.
the entire trilogy that if you just take it as a movie, it stands on its own.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
But so like I was looking at it, and that means that we're now in a classic Star Trek moment where now we are between the Enterprise and the next and the original series. Now we have to fill in the hole while not stepping on the toes of the beloved fans. Except it's much more shorter now, because now out of nowhere, this void between episode 3 and 4 is not getting more filled. We have Rebels, we had Rogue One, we had a little bit of the end of Clone Wars, a Bad Batch, which is now in the middle of this. So now this little spot is getting filled. So you're having smaller and smaller steps to try and not step on other toes and such. And so like that kind of scared me, because our whole thing was that Obi-Wan is on Tatooine watching the boy. And so it was kind of hard to imagine an episode, a series where he'd be here, not stepping on any toes, and still becoming Obi-Wan in episode 4. So out of just that, I didn't want the series.
Understandable. I can totally see how you felt that way.
I was terrified of like what time bomb would happen, because if you irreparable do damage to episode 4, then a whole lot of things make zero sense.
Yeah.
Like
good point.
Overall,
Very
when episode 1 came out, I was interested. I wanted to see where it was going, because it let out a decent foundation. And at least in the first 3 episodes, I really liked it for what it was headed for. When at least when it was given to me. But we'll get into the intricacies later within the show.
Yeah, I do have to say, I think the first, I gotta say, the first episode, well, firstly, I think the series gave us a lot of great little treats, we're gonna call them. The first was, we'll call her, even though it's not, we'll call her Kid Leia. Let's say Kid Leia. I was gonna say Baby Leia, but she's like 9 years old in this, so Kid Leia was just adorable. I mean, it was the right mix, because like usually you introduce a little kid character and it's like, how do you do it without getting super annoying? And it's like, you can actually, and you can actually see how she evolves into the Leia we know and love. You can actually see that, and I'm just like, wow.
And in an adult actor, you'd hear them talk about, I heard this about Hayden Christensen. He actually went back and watched the Rogue One and Clone Wars and Rebels to see where they took Darth Vader from when he turned, and then episode 4.
Yes.
And so it just, a little kid in theory doesn't really do that. You have a 9-10-year-old who's not going to be sitting there researching, what did Carrie Fisher look like this in 1977?
Yeah.
What did Padme, what did Natalie Portman do with the mother character? Which made it so genuine. And There was one bit early on where my husband goes, "Oh my God, please don't make her stupid," because she did what any kid would do. She ran away. My husband apparently never did that as a child, but I'd go running into the woods all the time as a child. God help my parents. And I got it. And then it very quickly, there's just something special about her. And I was hook, line, and sinker. She didn't even have to look like Carrie Fisher, which she just got something about her made me feel like Carrie Fisher in 1977.
Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. And it's funny that you should mention, Hayden Christensen and his method, for getting back in the black suit.
Well, he's kind of stopped acting, so he's just been working on his ranch.
Yep. But it was great. It was actually cool to have him back, and I got to say that Vader. See, this did the same thing Rogue One did, which was, those of us who grew up with the original movies, and reading like the spin-off material, we hear about how much of like a force of nature Vader is, how much of like, evil personified, and it's like Rogue One really brought that to life with, that scene
right
in, towards the end.
He has fully embraced
Yep,
the dark side.
It's not just that, but it's also the fact that, Vader is supposed to be this, ultimate and powerful embodiment of evil, where it's like when he walks into a room, it's not, basically the tide turns. It's not, the stuff is going to hit the fan. It hit the fan, broke the fan, you have no more fan. That's the impression I think that I had growing up. Rogue One showed that, and then Obi-Wan brought it back. I think of like episode 3 that Obi-Wan and Vader had their first little reunion.
Yeah.
Just him in the village throwing people around.
Yes.
Via the Force. It's like he knows Obi-Wan is nearby, and he's just tossing these people aside. If we could hear his inner monologue, he's like, "I don't care about you. I don't care about you. Go away. You're not what I want." And thinking, "Hey, Obi-Wan, look! I just took this old guy, threw him into the wall. What are you gonna do about it? You gonna come out? Come on, Master. Come
I have
on."
to tell you, I was very impressed. I know that in some of the stunt scenes, other people were in the suit, but for a good chunk of this entire series, it was Hayden inside that suit.
Yep.
They built it to fit around him, and he embodied the character. And you guys know how much I love George Lucas, but we all agree that he's not terribly great at writing dialogue. He's great at storytelling. Writing dialogue's never been his strong suit. So
But we want to hear people complain about sand.
No. But I feel like Hayden, who was considered a very good actor prior to getting the original role of Anakin, or the original role he got as Anakin when he was older, that it just, I think that the writing wasn't good enough, and because people were so on the fence about Anakin, the character anyway, and how the hell does he become Darth Vader, and I'm confused, and so he kind of wore the brunt of everything that people had problems with, and I really feel like it's not fair, because having now watched him in this series, I'm like, I like him as Darth Vader. I like him as this half Anakin, half Darth Vader creature.
Oh,
Something about what he's doing with the character. And I gotta tell you guys that it's not that long, but when he's got half the mask is cut off, and you see the icky Anakin halfway through. I mean, the power he has in his eyes. That is a good actor, and that was a powerful bit. I was chomping at my teeth.
Oh
my God! Well, I know I can't die. We had them in another movie not too long from now. How did they do this? And it really had me on my seat, and I really was with it all the way.
Yep. Oh no, and I gotta love that scene. We had that scene in episode, the third episode. I say episode 3, people are going to get confused.
I know.
The third episode of the series that we're talking about. Okay. we had when Vader's stalking Obi-Wan. I mean, wow, just the atmosphere of that, and just the fact that he turns the lights off in his little chest thing, and then just when he catches up to Obi-Wan, lights the lightsaber. The rest of the time, Obi-Wan's running, hearing the breathing. I'm just like, oh man, oh geez. It's like I'm basically feeling sympathy panic, because I'm just like, oh geez, imagine being in that dark area. You're hearing this breathing, he's close, and it's like the only way you can tell that he's caught up is the lightsaber goes off, and it's like, crud.
See, like, we're on two different sides. Like, I'm here just watching Vader saying, yes, just cut his head off. Because the Jedi are fools, at least from my point of view. Because, like, when you look at it, like, we are two of the same, three of the same fandom, but two different sides of it. From what I understand, when episode 3 or 2 came out, everyone disliked the casting of Hayden. But, like, when I saw him, he was Anakin. He's just Anakin.
Yeah.
And still till this day, I still can't think of another actor that could play the role. He's locked as Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
He really was good for the role,
and like, he's not bad.
How good we had it back then.
Well, it's again, it's not it's not Hayden's fault that the dialogue was the dialogue was a block of it's like a block of cheddar. It's
even then, what are you comparing it to, like episode 4 or 5? Because both movies don't really have the best dialogue either. So like, it's not like there was this giant drop off in
you can
dialogue
always
quality.
tell when Lucas hired Carrie Fisher to doctor the script in 4, 5, and 6 because you'd have these patches of really great dialogue, and then it'd get really stilted again, and then it'd be really great dialogue, and then that was actually her first job doing script doctoring. Was actually on Star Wars. She was just uncredited. And then that led to her writing career and all the amazing things that came out of that. But too many times, Lucas would be too insistent on his own dialogue. And he's, like I said, he's a fabulous storyteller. He is a big picture storyteller that can tell, okay, and then we're going to have this, and we're going to have this dogfight, and then we're going to have that, and it's magical and it's amazing. And then he writes words down on the table. And you're just like, George, honey, I love you, but please leave that to the experts. You are an amazing big world. You're great at that. Stay at that. Don't do anything else. Yep. And the biggest problems I actually had with, Jar Jar Binks aside, I mean, I get what George was thinking. My single biggest complaint was a lot of the dialogue in 1, 2, and 3. Because in the original trilogy, in the prequels, I know this is going to be hard, isn't it? In the prequels, yes, the stories were great, but there were bits and pieces that were just clunky, and I really have to attest the believing the romance between Anakin and Padme was simply because Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen were good enough actors. Because their dialogue, I mean, if you turn the dialogue off and you just go by their emotions, oh my gosh, it is beautiful, it is romantic, you can see their love blossoming, it is tragic, it is sad, but some of the words that they're given are just goofy. And that's my single biggest complaint, and I probably would have downplayed Jar Jar Binks a little bit. Okay.
You know what? Actually, you bring up pretty much a good, great point. And Vicky, and this would make for a great exercise watching episodes 2 and 3 and taking moments, to just like maybe mute the TV and just look.
No, it is fine the way it is. It's not that bad.
Although
it's not that bad.
On me.
Although Zion, you do have to admit it would be an interesting exercise to just kind of like to just take a second and mute and just watch the faces. Watch the faces of the actors, which is to see like to see how could the if you take out the dialogue, does the scene still work?
Yeah.
That would I think that's what we're trying to say. It's like, yeah, it's not that, okay, well, let's just take the dialogue out because it sucks. It's, well, let's see, because they seem to be doing a good job of conveying the emotions. So let's put it to the test by taking the dialogue out, mute the dialogue, watch just their faces, their reactions to each other, how they play off each other.
Speaking of the prequels, I want to talk about something because as I said, same fandom, different timeline. Like I went into this series fully expecting a very decent look back at the Clone Wars and allowing new fans who never watched the Clone Wars to get into the Clone Wars through this series. Because like when you look at it, we're like closer to episode 3 than 4 in certain aspects, right? And the timeline, I think that we're like smack dab right in the middle. But acting wise, we're closer to the prequels than we are to
I think so.
to the original trilogy. So like
my husband's actually just now starting to watch the Clone Wars. I'm rewatching them with him because he hadn't watched it with me the first 2 times I watched it. And he's like, oh, okay, so some of this starts to make sense because there are little Easter eggs in there that really help if you watch the Clone Wars, and some of the continuity really starts to make more sense. And I really do hope that people go back and watch the Clone Wars because, I've heard people say, oh, Clone Wars, it's an animation. It's a fabulous animation. It is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Each season gets better and better.
It is.
And
Yeah, I will admit the animation style is not, it's not my cup of tea, but
the story writing makes up for it.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
And I think that really translates in here too. I agree with you, Zion.
But like the weird part is that I feel like they tried to like make it more like it's a wrap up so that we could tie in things to episode 4 rather than making it a series about Obi-Wan reflecting back on his Clone Wars days in episode 2 to 3. Because like I the only thing that we get in here pertaining to the Clone Wars really is the Master Sinube mention, which is not even mentioned. He's just there. But outside of that, like you get nothing about Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars. Like, did you know that he like had a like previous love?
Yeah.
That was killed during the Clone Wars?
Yeah, no, I remember that.
I knew about that. So like you could use a bit of his history in his story a little bit. But like they just seem to like talk about more about the original trilogy than the Clone Wars. It's kind of odd considering that it's Filoni supervising it. But yeah.
I suspect it's because in many ways, where like for example, when they first announced this, I'm picturing this is going to be more about young Luke. Didn't even occur to me it would be about Leia, which I love that they did that. That really surprised me. But it's also a lot about how does Obi-Wan become Obi-Wan again? And coming from a family of military, I'm going to tell you that to me, well, there was a connection, much more of a connection to the Clone Wars to me, but his single biggest regret in his entire life up to this point is the loss of Anakin. And there's so much in this story about the two of them. And it makes it that much more fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
When you go forward, and if they do choose to have a second season, which there's little rumors going around, but until it happens, it doesn't happen. That I would love to see what happens next, because now he's dealing with his PTSD, he's dealing with the loss of his friend, and the recognition that his friend, in some ways, I love that line where Anakin says, as Darth Vader, that you didn't kill Anakin, I did.
Yeah.
And not only does that then harken back to A New Hope, where Obi-Wan tells Luke, Darth Vader killed your father. So not only does it tie to that, but it also, in a way, frees Obi-Wan of some of the guilt he's been carrying, that he's responsible for why Anakin went to the dark side. Now, were the Jedis maybe getting too big for their britches and thinking that they could handle everything? And as soon as we little humans start to think that we're in control, the universe likes to laugh and smack us.
Yep. And on that note, Vicky, we do have to cut the commercial here on Subspace Radio. But hey, stick around because we'll be talking more about Obi-Wan Kenobi. And you know what? We may talk more about Kid Leia, and we may talk about more talk more about sisters. Consider that a hint. Dun dun dun.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's universe.
Ah, brave new world that has such putzes in it.
The Pullbag is GCRN's comic book review and discussion-based podcast. Join me, your host, TFG Mike, and the rest of the GCRN crew as we make our way through the comics we are reading. Inside the Pullbag, you'll also find back-issue classics and origins episodes of how we got into comic reading. You can find the Pullbag every Wednesday on iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com. Make your great escape into comics and jump into the Pullbag today.
Oh yes, but think of the fun.
You are listening to Mark Who 42's universe.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Mark Who 42, where we're discussing the recently completed Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars series on Disney Plus. How's everybody doing? Did you go relieve yourself? Did you go to the fridge, grab a snack? Did you feed the animal? Did you feed your pets?
If you count killing 3 younglings as relief, then yeah.
Oh,
I mean, bottles of glass, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that counts as relief.
You need emergency powers right now.
No, you didn't say please.
Die.
See, I think Zion, I think we're gonna have you work on your emperor laugh. You need to find a way to go.
Not yet, because I haven't been zapped by Samuel L. Jackson yet. So I'm just waiting for that, and then I'll get the laugh.
Oh boy. Well,
I like that. That's good. It just means Samuel L. Jackson's going to have to come visit.
Good. Good. Oh, jeez. Okay. Back on the series.
Okay, let's talk about the Inquisitors.
Oh, Inquisitors. Okay. Oh wow. So episode 2, when the third sister stabbed the Grand Inquisitor, I was kind of a little shocked, because I was like, wait a minute, but he shows up in Rebels and he's getting stabbed here, but at first I was thinking, well, wait a minute, is this supposed to be a different Grand Inquisitor, and then the one we saw in Rebels is a different guy?
Yeah.
No.
I like the way they did that, because you're sitting there, you're wondering all that, and then you get to the end and you go, whoa!
Oh, he's alive! Yeah, I guess Vader kind of called the Vader may have called the same.
Can still be alive, and so can he.
Yeah, well, I guess that Vader may have called the robots that gave him his cybernetics, like, hey, I've got a client for you.
No. What happened is what happened to a Darth Maul. They lived because they were too angry to die, and were in tune with the dark side of the Force. So they pretty much used some hatred to sustain their life.
Okay.
It's real. There, no. That's what he says. He says something about your will to hate doesn't kill me, or something like that. But that's exactly what happened to Maul. He was literally too angry to die. But yeah, so the pathways to the dark side mean pathways to melee abilities that may consider being unnatural. And here we are with unnatural things.
Yep. Well, yeah. Now
there's a lot we don't know about the Force, and it kind of makes sense. We've seen little things happen before. The fact that Anakin Skywalker is able to live as Darth Vader after that horrendous fight. You lose your hands, you lose your arms, you lose your legs, you lose.
Yep, he got fire. And he
still lives.
Yep, he had a fight with his best friend, got a little, it kind of burned him up, but he got over it.
But I have a question. So we have the Inquisitors here, and they are overall the Jedi hunters for Vader. He's the boss, and they are the ones that go out and do the dirty work, essentially. So we have 6 episodes. The Grand Inquisitor gets knocked off in the first episode, and we're stuck with the other 3: second sister, the other brother, and the other sister. And one thing that I noticed about this is that they opted to not use any of the other Inquisitors. Like third sister, Reva, is the one that has all of the seeds. The brother just goes around going, I'm gonna tell Vader before you do. And the other chick is doing her best Darth Maul impression and saying absolutely nothing. And so I just find it odd. Like, do something. Like, like I look at it as a pie of a dark side, nice cherry red pie. You could split the killings and such between you amongst yourselves and all the dialogue and all the intimidation, but they added to just get the whole pie to Reva. And I just find that odd when you have these two characters that I personally look kind of cooler.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is that we're dealing with a group that has been seen before by the audience, but at a later date. So, you kind of want to be careful about how you use them, because again, you don't want to step on the toes of anything that's come before.
Right.
That's taking place later. One thing though also is that in creating Reva, the third sister, you have a character that then you can, since she hasn't been seen elsewhere, like she didn't show up in Rebels, you now have something to play with where you can get it into the framework without worrying about doing something that would fly in the face of continuity, because it's like, well, but see, you did this here, but in Rebels season 4, episode 5, it's like you kind of want to be careful with that. Which, by the way, let's put a pin on that, because this does come into something I want to talk about later. But
absolutely, but that doesn't mean to not use them. They didn't use them at all.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's the problem.
It would have been nice to have more of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. I also get that it would have been nice to have them more around.
I feel like it was very short explanation, almost like you had to already know what happened in Rebels and in the Clone Wars animated series to have a better understanding. Otherwise, it was kind of glossed over because they were all either former Jedi or Jedi Force sensitive who were turned by the dark side to help them hunt out any remnants of the Jedi's left, because that became kind of Darth Vader's focus. One of his biggest focuses of his life after he became Darth Vader was to hunt down and get rid of the Jedi. I suspect it's a little bit of guilt. It's a little bit of jealousy and a lot of hatred. And it's just like, well, I'm going to wipe everything out. And so he creates this. And I feel like it's explained in like 2 sentences. I wish they had gone more into it, because not everyone who's watching this will have watched the other 2 series. And to watch the 2 series will take a couple of weeks.
This is true. This is true. And you know what? If Obi-Wan gets a second season, maybe we can get more of this. It was announced. It was announced that the character of Reva, the third sister, is getting apparently her own spin-off out of this. There is a great opening in order to to get what what we've been saying should happen. So that may be a good space to kind of give to kind of open up and say, hey, yeah, this is what happens. This is how the Inquisitors got to be Inquisitors. You could have flashbacks to how Reva was fully recruited, and how she and then how this whole goes. One thing, in the little space that we got, we got to see Reva with her fellow Inquisitors. One of the things we got is it seems like the Inquisitors aren't really like they're not really made to be one big happy family.
No.
There's a lot of backstabbing and attempts at one-upsmanship.
Yes, and that has to do with the way that the current Sith are operating. Like, you have the rule of 2, so you have Vader and Sidious. Sidious likes to mess around with rule of 2, depending on if it's Monday or Wednesday. So he whatever. So you have the Inquisitors, because now he's focused on running the galaxy and such, but they're still dark side users. But the whole point about going through the rule of 2 was because they kept destroying each other. Like a Sith from long ago figured out that only having two Sith makes the Sith more powerful because they hide in the shadows and they're more powerful as they're growing their own power. And so that's where you get only Master and Sith. I mean,
Master and Apprentice. Yeah.
Once you start branching it out, you start seeing what the old Sith saw, trying to destroy each other over power grabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, I mean, I did, it's, I mean, I hate to bring this up, but I feel it needs to. I know that people were complaining about Third Sister, to a point that was getting almost evil trollish.
Actually were getting inappropriate.
Yeah. I will say this, I have no problems with Third Sister, as I'm seeing what we're talking about, the fact that the Inquisitors are not, this, they're not like the Airborne 101st,
No.
being, band of, we lucky few, we band of brothers. No, they're like, ooh, Vader's here. I'm going to impress him today. No, I'm going to impress him. Hey, I found Vader's old master, so guess who's going to impress him? Me! That kind of thing. It's like, seeing that
everyone's jockeying for position.
Exactly. So it's like
is it Empire Strikes Back where whoever's in charge is getting replaced every 5 minutes because the last one disappoints Vader, and so we go into the next one and the next one. I kind of feel like Vader's created this kind of feeling, and he's been doing it ever since this time period. The Inquisitors are like, I'm going to be the Grand Inquisitor. No, I'm going to be the Grand Inquisitor.
Yep, or it's like, I'm gonna, Vader's gonna see what cool thing I did. Right. Yeah,
I'm gonna get the credit.
Right, and then also it's one of those things where it's like, whatever issues you have with like the Third Sister or the actress playing her, it's one of those things of, if you actually chilled for a minute, keep watching the episodes, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, it's one of those things of be patient, because then it starts to come together, or it actually starts to, you start to see the pieces fit, and it's like, okay, now I get it, which is one of the things. It's like, she's jockeying for position because she wants to get close enough. She's acting, she's giving into her anger, so Vader will notice her and just be like, come here, we're going to hang out. Who gets to have lunch with the boss? You get to have lunch with the boss. Which, going back to what I was saying about Vader just being this, evil force of nature, that scene where the Third Sister, decides to pull off her assassination attempt, well, first of all, we had Vader pulling an entire ship down. It's like, holy cow. Now that I think about it, it reminds me of Star Tours. The new Star Tours, how he tries to stop the speeder.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so there you go. We actually had a link to Star Tours. There you go. We discovered something new, and we learned, him pulling the entire ship down. But when the Third Sister tries for him, first of all, the fact that he blocked her lightsaber strike without even turning around.
Yeah.
It's like, and just the fact that the entire fight, he's blocking her with just the Force. It's like, I just expected him to say something like, lady, please.
You are watching a master at work.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, who has the title Dark Lord of the Sith? Oh yeah, me! Gee, why do you think that? Because I got a cool suit? No. He just,
I gotta tell you, and I was very impressed with Moses, the actor.
Oh, yeah.
I saw her in The Queen's Gambit and loved her. Didn't realize that she's still relatively new to movies and film. She did theater before. And I just thought she was great. And then I saw her in this, and I'm just like, I love the way you feel the emotion. I love the way that, there's something more than just trying to please Vader. It's more than just trying to become the Grand Inquisitor. She holds Kenobi responsible for the creation of Vader. And because of that, she chooses to hunt this man down personally, who made her what she is. She is what she is simply because of circumstance. And I cannot lie, it was so chilling and knowing that these words were written previously, in this day and age, and listening to her talk about hiding amongst her dead schoolmates.
Oh yeah, that
brought me to tears.
Yeah, that is.
Oh my Lord, that was just this whole series was
Oh yeah, no,
a
it's
roller coaster like that.
yeah, it's one of those.
Really thought it was great.
Yeah, I think one of the things that oh Lord, I don't know how to say this, but yeah, one of the things that ended up one of the things that ended up impacting the series. Okay, there you go. That works. Is the fact that it came out, at the time, close to real life events.
Yeah.
And that just ended up adding to things. I mean, honestly, I wish that it wasn't, so close to reality, but this is, as Phil Collins said, this is the world we live in. And it just so happened, that we ended up like that, we ended up with this.
Did
So
they add a disclaimer because of that?
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
There was a
They did,
disclaimer at the
which
beginning of it, which I do appreciate because there are places where people think Star Wars is a kid show. It never was a kid show. Don't know where that came from. Some people equate all science fiction with kids, but you want to make sure that you're feeling age appropriate for how you raised your child and what they can and can't. And so the fact that there's that disclaimer, I almost knew immediately was going to happen, and then the first episode starts, and I'm like, that's what I thought. Okay.
yeah.
Just this would be definitely hard for some people, and it's better to have something as a this might be a good time for a talking point.
Yep.
But my gosh, the acting in this, I cannot rave enough.
Oh yeah.
That there's not a single. I mean, even even some of the boring versions of the Inquisitors. It was still, Rupert was amazing as the Grand Inquisitor. No, he didn't look anything like it did in the Clone Wars and Rebels, but it just an amazing kind of shutting off the emotion, and you totally fell for it. And you were just like, I see that.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just gushing over everything that they were able to accomplish.
Oh yeah, and something I do want to bring up. So in the last episode, the third sister decides to pay a visit to Tatooine. See this boy that he's supposed to protect. I gotta love the mama and Papa Bear energy for Owen and Beru Lars.
Yes.
It's like, holy cow! Wow, wowzers! And actually, because it's like, here's the thing, because as Trish and I were talking after the episode, one of the things this does is it recontextualizes, first of all, Owen's attitude in episode 4 in A New Hope, because what it does now is Owen's whole kind of hemming and hawing, it's just one more season, we'll make enough money, we'll hire new hands, and you can go to the academy next year. It's him stalling. It's him stalling for time because Luke is now becoming an adult, and Owen can't hide him in his little backwater forever. And it's like, okay, I gotta stretch it out. And
Ben's still here.
Yeah, exactly. And also what my brother-in-law actually brought up is, so Owen and Beru put up a fight to protect Luke from the third sister. This actually then brings up a good point. So in episode 4, Luke goes back home and sees that the home has been devastated and his adoptive family got killed. It's like, I think we're led to believe originally that the stormtroopers just went into slaughter mode when they couldn't find anybody, when they couldn't find what they were looking for. Could it be that when the stormtroopers showed up, they started doing the stormtrooper thing of, trying to muscle in and be like, where are the droids? When they showed up, did Owen and Beru put up a fight?
Absolutely, because
did they put
burnt.
Did they get vaporized? Are they vaporized not because the stormtroopers were just like, all right, we're gonna vaporize some civilians, but they fought back, and they fought bravely, but ended up getting vaporized.
Yeah,
this now puts up a new context, which is awesome.
Yeah. I am almost sure that like in the entire 6 through 9 movies, they're the only ones who we see get burnt or have been burnt by stormtroopers or
Right.
Yep.
That behavior is not duplicated elsewhere, and there's just something magical about them.
Yeah.
As a parent, I see it and I just go, wow.
Speaking of which, I want to talk about, since we're getting towards episode 4, there's now the introduction of, I think, the Proto Rebellion and such.
Yeah.
And like that, I hate that like it comes up in I think it's like the worst episode 4, not A New Hope, because I love you, A New Hope.
Yeah.
But like episode 4, the 4th episode of the series, as Ed said.
There you go. There you got it.
But yeah, so like I'm watching it, and episode 5, snow speeders do not well, I'm gonna rewind this. How am I supposed to take the Empire seriously when the security is the worst thing ever? Like, I understand that we need to get the plot moving, but
It's
the last
simply
time
having numbers.
But the last time the Empire was threatening was 1980. I wasn't even alive for like minus 12 years or so. It's insane. But like, so I'm looking at this. Okay, you have the informant speaking out loud. No one notices. Base goes on high alert. Guy puts on the trench coat and the hat with Leia under. No one notices. Base under high alert. Fine. I guess I can look over that because we've been doing this for the entire series. But
yeah,
I get to when Reva comes in, and then come the snow speeders. And if there's one thing I've learned about being a mid-2000s Star Wars kid, is that if you're trying to take care of any Jedi, just get in the vehicle and shoot them. They cannot block it because it's a shit. So it's like, I see little Vader in Hoth flying around. Okay, let me get a snow speeder, blah, 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 and we're done.
Yep.
Now we can get here, and here's the snow speeders hovering, shooting at her, and she's just blocking these blasts. Now there's 2 things wrong with this. One, there's no way anyone could block a blast like that, because if that's the case, then we would have shot Vader a long time ago. And 2, if the snow speeders can hover, what's the whole point of going around the AT's legs? If they can hover, can't you just go alongside the slow camel and just shoot his neck?
Okay, well,
on to the next one and then shoot his neck.
Okay, so all right, let's try and tackle this. First off, the snow speeders were not designed to be snow speeders.
Right.
I think there was actually a line. There was a line in Empire Strikes Back that said we're still trying to adopt the speeders to the cold. Indicating these things were meant for, these things were built for other stuff, and they were being retrofitted by the rebels in order to provide some sort of like planet-based defense. And I think probably, well, first of all, and then as far as Reva blocking the shots, just blocking the shots and not trying to do anything else, we got to remember that Reva is not, she's not very polished. She's just working on an anger high. Her modus operandi is, I'm going to come in like just a really mad lady. We got to watch our language, but you know the word I'm thinking. She's going to come in as this, ferocious, lady tiger. So, she's not, there's no subtlety, there's no, grace. So yeah, she's just going to block shots. As for the thing with Empire, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say that what happened was, what happened is that, like I said, they had to adopt them to the cold, and there may have been issues. Like they probably could have tried to hover, but given the modifications, the hovering was probably like ill-advised or removed.
Fair. Okay, but since we're still on episode 4, I want to pivot to another thing. So the whole point was that we're trying to get Leia to the pilot to get her out of here, but Reva cuts her off. Fine. right? Personally, I think this is where we should have let Leia go, because I personally think like at this point she holds no point to the story. Like we just had literally A New Hope in episode 4. Obi-Wan goes to Empire installation.
There is definitely a correlation. You are correct.
We have to trick the stormtroopers. We have to go save Leia. We have to get out of here. But as soon as we're going to get out of here, we get caught by the Empire. Fine, we just had episode 4 again, and we're about to have it 10 years later. Okay.
You know what? Like, although actually, Zion, if I could bring something up, sorry to cut you off like that, but here's the thing I do want to bring up, because this was another thing that got brought up when I was discussing this with my wife, is that remember in New Hope, okay, so we had the same thing happen in New Hope, but remember, what does Leia say to Han? That she talks about how the escape felt too easy, and they were let go.
Yes.
Yeah.
So right here, it's like, yeah. So the fact that this is a repeat of episode 4, again, it enhances, for my money, it enhances then that moment in New Hope, because how does Leia figure this was too easy? Because she's been down this road before. Like she's seen this maneuver played out before, so it's like, okay, they're taking from the old playbook. They let us go.
Yes, I understand that, but as a narrative point, is kind of lazy. Like it's literally just episode 4. I find it weird that like, okay, we're back literally in the interrogation scene again with another Sith again, and so we have Leia here resisting the interrogation, now a forced interrogation, right? Like this is the part right here where I say that she should have just been let go from this point on. After she stops the forced interrogation, right, or like resists it, Obi-Wan knows of such. They go off. She becomes the help for the hyperdriver, or no, the Adore and such. And once you stack everything in this series, Obi-Wan saying that she's smarter for a 10-year-old, her resisting the force interrogation, her standing on her own and now wanting to join the rebellion and save the galaxy from tyranny. The one question that comes on that I haven't seen anyone question, this whole story questions, why did Obi-Wan choose Luke over Leia? Leia, through this whole series, has been primed to be the New Hope. She's not scared of the Empire. She clearly has trust in the Force.
She had a different purpose. She had a different need. And remember, it's Luke who goes to him, because Leia inadvertently sends Luke to Ben in A New Hope.
Yes, but at this point in time, Luke's just a farm boy. Leia is literally Luke in episode 4 before Luke even got off Tatooine.
Well, but remember,
why is he not choosing Leia if they're both of the same kin technically, because they're both of Anakin's side?
I don't know if I can argue that.
Well, let's okay. Unfortunately, we're like pretty much almost out of time here on Subspace Radio. But you know what? Hey, for anybody who wants to hear this conversation keep going, go to our podcast feed, because we're going to be talking more about this. And then, of course, if you are listening to this outside of Subspace Radio, we are going to keep going with this. But for those of you on Subspace, this has been Eduardo M Freyre here with Vicky Jakubowski and Zion Quiros. And just remember, if you're going to be an evil cyborg Sith, to make sure to protect the stuff that helps you breathe.
Always a can of WD-40.
We'll be back with more of Mark Who 42's universe.
Hello, geeks and geekettes. I'm Steve Megatron, and if you're looking for a podcast that covers a vast array of geeky topics, then check out Altered Geek. Altered Geek covers superheroes, Star Trek, pop culture, comics, film, television, animation, gaming, tech, and more. So check out Altered Geek and get altered, get geeky with the Altered Geeks every Friday on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, Blog Talk Radio, and the Geekcast Radio Network.
So yeah, the only thing I can think of, Zion, as to why Leia didn't end up, getting the prize and being the, why did he focus on Luke rather than Leia? Well, I think part of it is just circumstance because, first off, she couldn't come herself to get Obi-Wan Kenobi. She had to, she was in the middle of trying to escape the Empire and get the, so it's like, okay, I got to get these plans out. Let me get them to, Obi-Wan Kenobi has helped me out before. Let me send it to him. Luke was right there.
Yep.
Luke was right there. So Obi-Wan was like, okay, I'm going to need somebody. I'm going to need to train somebody to help me. This kid is right here. It's Anakin's son. Let me work on that.
Leia also had the Senator Organa, and they had that route. They were taking the diplomatic route, and she was becoming an amazing diplomat and fighter, as we were to find out. But it became very important for her to work through that level, work through the system, work through the establishment, while we're going to then take Luke and have him work with the rebels and bring them together, and they'll both be taking over the world.
Right.
Yes. Well, and then the other thing is that you got to remember that Obi-Wan never had the chance to really train Leia. Because they didn't even get a chance to have a proper reunion.
Right.
He got killed before she could, before that could happen.
Right. I also ask myself these questions too. But so you go into episode 4, right? You go even deeper. Let's go to when Ben gets struck down. We're in the hangar. Han, Leia, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2 are headed to the Falcon while Luke watches. And Leia and Han are also at the base of the Falcon, right?
Yep.
Obi-Wan gets struck down. He looks left, smiles, strike down. No, by Luke, right? And then from here on out is all just centered on how Luke feels about Ben dying. This whole series just taught us throughout 6 episodes. There should be a giant connection between Obi-Wan and Leia.
But Leia's also been trained differently. She has already seen a lot of death. She has already dealt with a lot. I mean, even when you look at her reactions when Alderaan is exploded, she feels it. She definitely is emotionally attached to it. But she's learned from her father, but you got to pick yourself up. You got to get going and keep on moving. You don't have time to focus on that right now while the Empire is still in control. Whereas Luke has not been taught that.
Yeah.
And doesn't really, I mean, he just lost essentially his mother and father, and now he's lost his mentor. And what that's left us with is a huge disaster in his book. Plus, even though they have twins and they are the same age, it is interesting how much younger Luke appears in A New Hope and how much older and responsible Leia is. And it's only as the next 3 movies go through that you start to see them evening out. And then when you get into the last trilogy, you see how they are the same age and they are that you can see the connection better. But when we first meet Luke, he's like a kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. But the thing is this, Leia's still human. She's
yes,
just as fallible. She's just as fallible to knee-jerk reactions as Luke is. When a Tarkin said, "I'm gonna blow up Alderaan," there's a knee-jerk reaction. When she was having a fight with Han in Hoth, her kissing Luke, knee-jerk reaction just to get at Han, right? So like she still has these knee-jerk reactions. And I'm just going to turn it into a personal thing. Like, for example, I just had someone in my life that I knew when I was a child, right? That I had no idea what happened to him until like, 3 weeks ago. And I haven't seen him since when I was like 7, 8, right? I found his last name. I searched it up, found out what happened to him. and it shocked me. It caused a knee-jerk reaction, and I haven't seen him in 15 years. Now I take it to Leia. Let's say that this guy, rest in peace, Norm, came to save me when I was 10, and then he comes to save me again when I'm of age right now, and I see him get struck down right in front of me. I'm gonna have a knee-jerk reaction, regardless of who I am. At least I'm gonna say, at least no. Or if someone who's right next to me who knew him and is also feeling bad, I would talk to him and relate, because I also knew him and also felt the pain of, hey, this guy just saved me and he meant something to you. We should still get talk and such. Like, the constellation that Leia does doesn't equal the constellation that someone would have if they both knew Obi-Wan or Ben Kenobi.
I've known people in my life that, they are prone to knee-jerk reactions, but also who have kind of like, I'm trying to think of the right word for this. They know how to kind of, I don't want to say compartmentalize, but for all the knee-jerk reactions that they have, that they're also able to, like, depending on the circumstance, be able to hold in for at least a little bit until there's like enough of an opening in order to react.
Right.
Because, like, here's the thing, because it's like I can say, from my own experience, I work a job, I have a job with kids, and there are times where I have held back a knee-jerk reaction because it would be inappropriate at the time.
Right.
So, and here's the thing, because she's been raised as a diplomat. And part of the thing about being a diplomat is you gotta keep it in. I mean, she had a knee-jerk reaction with Alderaan, but and yeah, she did have a fight with Han where she tried to razz him by kissing another guy in the room. But that doesn't mean that there won't be another situation where they got to hold it in.
You're right.
And and remember also that Leia, okay, so when they're in the Falcon,
yes,
heading towards Yavin. Okay, Leia, from the moment she got rescued, took a leadership position in the group.
Yeah.
She established herself as, excuse me for saying this, the alpha. She was the alpha. She established her alphaness, and part of being the alpha sometimes is, you got to keep. She has to keep herself, like on. She can't. I'm sure that what she wanted to do is to have a. Luke is broken up about Ben. I'm sure she wanted to join him in having a good cry, but in her mind at the time is probably like, not right now, not right now. We got to make sure we're free and clear. We got to get to the base. We have to, get to the base. We have to, get these plans out. When there's time, I'll cry. I don't have time right now. This is not a good place. I don't know these people, and I don't know if I trust the smuggler behind the wheel. So I got to hold it in.
Just say
I agree.
Like that, a perfect switch.
I agree, but
that's just one of the times that they just couldn't do a perfect segue.
Yep.
Into the old to the new.
All I'm saying is that people have a sentence to say for things like that. A sentence. You could say just a sentence, and because you're preoccupied and such, but a sentence. Obviously, you can't do this because the movie was made in 1977 with no thoughts of a giant, expansive world.
Yeah.
But like now, that's where I have to look at this series. Like, I understand that you're trying to make a story for Leia, but from what I think is that what happened was that, okay, I'm writing a story with Obi-Wan. Oh, okay, I had Leia. Okay, now more Leia, and then you got to this 10, and you're like, holy crap, Leia. There's not a lot of dialogue to explain why Leia knows Obi-Wan. So like you have like the little bits. Ben, where is he and such? He fought with my father in the Clone Wars and such and such. But like you have Star Wars fans, like people like me, who take episode 4 like it's a textbook and say, look, she said he fought with my father in the Clone Wars. Why didn't she just say, hey, you saved me when I was 10 and following the
He
Clone Wars.
tells her at the end.
Tells her,
"Do
yeah.
not say
Yeah, he says
anything,
keep it on the down
because
low.
If anyone knows you know me, it could be really bad."
Exactly.
And, well, you can say that is a cop out to a certain extent.
But it's
It
filler.
also is.
Okay.
It kind of answers that question really quickly, but I think
But it
it's one of
works.
those things that we're not going to have a great segue. We're just not.
Yeah.
Yes, like you can't knock them all out, but like if my whole point is that if I could watch episode 4 and look at it and say, okay, we have 6 episodes here and we can't do XYZ, but I still do Y, how can I not expect the people that watched them before and know XYZ not talk about XYZ not equaling to Y?
Okay, I mean, I kind of see your point.
It is okay because you can fill them all in, but like again, like this goes back to where I said at the beginning, we are in the Star Trek dilemma. We are between Enterprise and the original series. So hey,
where do we go with this? Yeah.
We can't step here because he fought the Gorn on Cestus 3. We can't step here because blah blah. But overall, like the series is really good.
Yeah, no, and I think the other, I mean, yeah, there is, I did want to say that, yeah, they did the whole thing with, Obi-Wan kind of being like, okay, don't, we're going to keep this a secret, that was more, that was more Alec Guinness than Ewan McGregor, but, sorry, it's still the same character, but yeah, the fact that does kind of inform, why in her message she wasn't like, hey Obi-Wan, it's me, I mean, yeah, and it does, although it does do, you did mention, Zion, that when she got rescued, she goes, Kenobi, he's here, so it does mean her excitement is about seeing somebody she knows, rather than just dad tells stories about this awesome guy in the Clone Wars. So I mean, we do have that, but so that's the thing. I mean, I do like that in certain ways that it does it. I mean, a couple might be considered cop-outs, but I do like that in some ways it does inform things for episode 4 and kind of sets things to make you go, because like one of the things,
the fact, guys, that we're having to nitpick to find things we don't like.
Yeah,
that's a sign of a good show.
Yeah.
We all enjoyed the show, but there's these little things that, they could have just done this a little better. Just itty bitty little things, not like big things.
Yeah.
It's just, change that line, or just,
well, one thing though I do want to point out is notice, so, and this was actually brought up, as the series started, and a few people were, starting to be like, you're going to break canon. It's like, think about it. Okay.
Canon's already been thrown out the window. Get over yourself.
Well, but think about it this way. Vader in New Hope, when he detects Kenobi on the Falcon, he goes, I feel a presence. It's a presence I haven't felt since.
Turns around.
He
with the saber.
He trails off. He didn't drop episode, he didn't drop like episode 3. He just said since. So you do have a little bit of an opening.
It actually gives you a lot of, that's a beautiful one where it gives you a lot of leeway on where that can go, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, and it's like, and also, I mean, even his line when he tells Obi-Wan, when we last met, I was but the learner, but now I am the master. That can still fit, because that last fight between Obi-Wan and Vader got like he got whooped. Like, okay, he thought he won, but then Obi-Wan pulls everything and just makes a huge comeback. So it's like, yeah, I could still see Vader like, okay, like Vader probably, after Obi-Wan left, going home and just being like, okay, so he's still the master. Damn it. So he, so I could still see that. I could still see that, Vader would still be smarting and thinking, Still can't beat
Vader
him.
doesn't seem to ever let anything go.
Oh yeah,
That's
no.
one of his character flaws that's so great is he
Yeah.
never lets. He holds a grudge, and basically until his son can basically hit him over the head by losing an arm. That I mean, that's kind of what it took. Is he had to equate his son with himself, and suddenly that last vestige of good in him finally comes out, and he goes to save his son.
Yep. Well, and it's like, and also it's like, because like there's that scene in the end. We did have the cameo. We did have the cameo of Ian McDarmit as the Emperor. The Emperor basically. I think we talked earlier about how the Emperor likes to manipulate people. The Emperor just kind of being like,
"Are you okay?"
Well, no. I don't even think he was trying to say, "Are you okay?" He was just trying to be like, "Dude, we got stuff to do. Let it go, dude. I know you want to kick his butt, but we have things we have to do."
We're running a galaxy.
You really need, you really need to
see the risk that Obi-Wan
and
is.
Yep, and I also think that it's the Emperor. Like the Emperor probably would love to, just send Vader out to kill Obi-Wan, but at the same time, he's just at the same time, Vader's his lapdog. He's trying, that could have also been him just like tightening the leash.
Yes.
It's like you're going to hunt him because I say so. So for now, just get over it, you little dog. You're my doggy. And of course, I think if we're going to talk about cameos, we got to talk about that one at the end because they set up.
Cameo? What?
Yeah, no, because they set it up. They had, They had Obi-Wan trying to do what
Yoda said he was going to teach him.
Yep, he said, I'm going to teach you on how to, talk to ghosts. I'm going to teach you on how to be Jennifer Love Hewitt in that show that was in like the 90s and 2000s.
No.
But yeah, he's all like, Master, hello, Master, pick up the phone. Hello, pick up the ghost phone. Hello. And we finally, at the end, we had Qui-Gon show up and just be like, finally, you dealt with your whole PTSD thing and we can finally talk. It's like, good grief, man. Sitting in a cave instead of going to a therapist? What's wrong with you? Yeah, that was really cool. If we do have like Kenobi Part 2 or however you want to call it, I really hope, I honestly hope so much that we get these more little, it doesn't even have to be like a big thing. I would just love to have these little moments of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan just talking, just doing like a little chit chat,
just since you died.
Yep. It's like, how's Jedi Heaven? How's Jedi Heaven? Well, I did get to, I did get to find this really pretty, yeah. That was, it's like, it doesn't even have to be, I mean, because I know that we're talking about Liam Neeson. The schedule is probably like a lot more full than
they promised no more Taken movies. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, even if he's not doing Taken movies, even if he's not doing a sequel to that one where he fights wolves in the snow.
Oh yeah, Taken in the snow with wolves. No, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, really, I'm sure that he has, he's not that reachable, but it would be cool to have at least maybe a couple of more cameos. I mean, it could just be, Qui-Gon just being like, so one thing I discovered about the secret of life is you always should have gummy bears at some point. Something along those lines, just something to kind of be like, okay, let's do, we could do this little thing, and just having them chat, just because like, hey, if if Obi-Wan himself at some point in the future can just be like showing up as a ghost going, Luke, chill out, Luke. Hey, dude, this is getting old. What are you, like 22? Come on.
No.
You're still on this thing. Look,
And
I know.
Like, okay, so here's how you talk like a wise old man. Because Obi-Wan is not, even in this series, he's not yet sounding like that wise Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now we got to take some lessons. So now in 10 short years, you can sound wise beyond belief.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep.
And you can just impress everybody.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Yep. And hey, you know what? So here's a question. All right, question for the group. How many people had like allowed themselves a little fanboy squeal moment when at the end when Obi-Wan said that line?
You know, I was happy about it, but like I'm jaded from it because the line only comes for me for episode 3. Like when that line hits, I say like the whole 10 yards. General Kenobi, you are a bold one. Kill him and stuff like that. I love it. But like it's funny that the overall squeal moment for me was like when Vader's mask got cut. Because it wasn't just no small little cut like
it was massive.
Comics and such. You could see his face.
Yep. And by the way, did anybody notice though that after the control panel on his chest got nailed, and after Obi-Wan did the slice, and cut the mask, did anybody notice that Vader's breathing? Vader was wheezing again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Vader was wheezing again. He was
It was affected.
Yep. So, well, just kind of like anyone who's ever played the Pokemon games, especially the Pokemon, those Pokemon games of like Pokemon Coliseum or Stadium. It's like, Obi-Wan smashed the mask. It was super effective. I brought a Pokemon joke into a discussion about Star Wars. What are you gonna do about it?
Okay, we'll forgive you for that one.
Yep. But yeah, it's like we had that was. I mean, I just have to say, we're watching the episode, and I'm just like, oh, holy moly! Holy moly! He destroyed the control panel, and then when he cracked the helmet. I'm like, whoa, that was a hit.
Yeah.
Like that was a freaking hit.
Yeah.
That was a major hit. Like, whoa, dang.
Personally, I think like not the fight, but the person-to-person dialogue.
Oh,
from the head smash all the way to when walks away. I think just that part in general is the best Star Wars has been while it's been under Disney. Like that scene is so charged. Like, the way it's shot in certain ways.
Yeah.
I agree too. That's like one of the best things.
Certain words are
red,
it comes blue and then red and then blue again and then red at certain words. It's cinematic and it's very cool.
And just I mean we had the whole the thing of like we had the thing where Vader says something like, no, I didn't, you didn't kill Anakin, I did.
Yeah,
but
that one got me.
But I think probably the winner of the "You Crushed My Soul" award has to be when Obi-Wan says goodbye, Darth. Look, it's like, oh, geez, like right there, like you could tell the
Anakin to me.
Yeah, like Anakin is dead. Anakin is dead. This is not Anakin. You could tell his heart was probably like broken. like just so broken, like it's done. His heart's shattered.
Those two things were the last things I expected to be tied up in the series. Like I expected maybe a Han Solo reference somewhere, or something where you see Biggs or something like that. But no. We go to why he used Darth as a first name, and I think I was like, wow, they really changed the most corniest line in all of Star Wars history into something the coolest thing ever, and that only happens here. It's beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's just, I mean, man, just the energy in the air in that moment. It's like, holy moly. Something that I thought, it's like, this is a question nobody asked, but it's funny that they gave us an answer, is that we see that, why does Luke have a model of a T-16 Skyhopper? Because Obi-Wan got it for him. And I imagine though that Luke was finally able to get the Skyhopper in his hands after all this time.
Yeah.
But it was just, I just thought it was like, wow, we never, he just plays with it, not even like really, just in that one scene. But even then, it's like,
beautiful tie-in there.
Guess what? Hey kids, if you've ever wondered this, this is why. And I thought it was just, I thought it was hilarious. It's like, oh man, that is just funny. That we finally find out, why he has a T-16 Skyhopper model. Which
also why Luke knew him and said that he was glad to see him, even though Owen was against him meeting Luke.
Yeah. And I
so magical about that.
Yeah, and I mean, I can even imagine that, like, and they even, at the end of Obi-Wan, they have an understanding of like, okay, you want to meet the kid? Sure. But, go back to like, your little, wherever you're hiding. Because we're not, like, okay, you can meet the kid. If you want to do the binoculars thing, fine. But it's not like you're coming over for 4th of July barbecue.
Exactly.
Like, that's not happening. We're not doing that. Okay, I'll let you meet the kid, but that's it. So yeah, we do have that, and I can just imagine, and again, Owen trying to be the protector. So when Luke is like, well, maybe they're talking about old Ben Kenobi, and he's just like, nope. Ben Kenobi's just crazy old guy, crazy old guy who lives like who lives like 2 sand dunes away. So nope, that's not what they're talking about. It's like, well, I don't know. Maybe the droids are stolen. They're ours now. Memory wipe them. That's it. We're done. Because of course he's thinking, he's like, nope. My nephew is not. No. I'm not having a nephew like become, some Jedi Knight. Nope. No nephew of mine is gonna have a lava bath. No. Nope. And and I'm sure Baru is like, yeah, no, I don't want my nephew having a lava bath either. But it's like, well, he is 19 years old. I mean, how much long? It does make that line. It's like, he's just not a father. He's just not a farmer. He's too much like his father. Baru is kind of telling Owen, we're kind of running out here. We're running out the clock here. I mean, it's like, I know you want to protect him, but we can't just do that. We're kind of, can't do that all the time. He's going from a smart kid to a smart adult.
He has too much of his father in him.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
I love that line. Gets me every time.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yep. That's what I'm worried about. Yep. That was just oh man. I know that there was somebody on social media that was kind of complaining, because it's like, how, because they're thinking about that line that Tarkin said, oh, surely he must be dead by now.
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of like, well, wait a minute, why can't we just, like they took offense because they were like, well, wait a minute, this is Grand Moff Tarkin we're talking about here. Why can't he, why can't he just wouldn't he know that Obi-Wan showed up about 10 years ago? Why isn't this more, why is Obi-Wan able to hide, when 10 years before New Hope, he was running around Imperial base, all that jazz. Something, though, I will say this. I don't know. I want to get what you guys think. In my head, first off, the hunt for Obi-Wan, the one who instigated that was Reva.
Yes.
And it was pretty clear that she wasn't doing this, she started it on her own initiative. Vader and Palpatine, neither of them were like, go hire one of the red hot chili peppers to kidnap Kid Leia.
So good.
Yeah. They didn't tell her to do that. She came up with that on her own. Vader joined in, once it was pretty clear he could get round 2 with his old mentor. But it could be very easy for Vader and Palpatine just to throw, especially because since she didn't come back to the Inquisitors, it could be very easy for Vader, Palpatine, the Grand Inquisitor, to just throw Reva under the bus and say that she took everybody in a wild goose chase.
Absolutely.
And that she got obsessive compulsive about the path and wasted resources. And and here's the thing, if you're like a stormtrooper commander, who hung out with Vader at that time, and he's saying this didn't happen, are you gonna argue with him? No. Are you gonna be like, but Lord Vader, didn't you say something about Obi? I didn't say that. You didn't say that. Moving on.
So look. The problem with people complaining about that, haven't watched the Clone Wars. There's an episode where you get Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Tarkin on a mission, and it is very interesting that you get to see Tarkin and normal Anakin shaking hands and saying, yeah, we kind of agree with each other and such. But the point is that Tarkin is very Republic centric, eventually Empire centric. When you look at Palpatine, his only focus is to get rid of the Jedi, quote unquote, on the. Once you get rid of the Order with Order 66, he's not worried about them because they've been wiped out. Now it's just a point of getting the Inquisitors to just sweep up the pieces while I run the galaxy. The Jedi, after they've been killed, is no longer a primary, even a secondary thing for the Empire. They're like an afterthought.
Well, because basically Revenge of the Sith, Palpatine won.
Yeah, right away.
So what's the it's like, there's one Jedi who's hanging out in the desert. So what? I'm trying to build a giant murder ball.
Exactly.
Let's prioritize, Vader. Let's prioritize. You have to go talk to Krennic and Tarkin and make sure they make my murder ball. I want my murder ball. Mm-hmm. So that's Tarkin probably was like, okay, want to build the Death Star. So no time to go chasing and being like, I'm gonna go chase the guy who burned me in lava. Well, you should have learned about the high ground, idiot.
No. It's closer of Vader saying, I found Obi-Wan, and Tarkin going, that guy from 20 years ago.
Yeah. That guy. Yeah. Well, not to mention the fact.
Why?
Yeah. Not to mention, I can also see Tarkin. Just as Palpatine told Vader, get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Get over it, deal with it. I can also see that Tarkin is the type of guy who basically wants to be like, okay, dude, I'm trying to govern, I'm trying to, it's like, dude, give me a break here, okay? We're trying to find a secret rebel base. I don't have time for this BS where you're like, ooh, I'm gonna go find my old master because I need a rematch. It's like, he's probably dead, okay? Can we move on here? We got other stuff to deal with, It's like, I met the guy 20 years ago. I don't care. It's like, dude, you're awesome. You're like this giant awesome evilness. So what? So what? If Obi-Wan's around, you're probably the only Jedi left. It's like, yeah, I think that was
like those kind of lines.
Yeah, Tarkin was probably trying like
words.
Yeah, in the biggest way to just be like, dude, come on.
One thing I wonder is where is the Reva show going to go? Because you don't really have a lot of space. Like she doesn't show up in none of the trilogy, so she has to die between there, right?
Yeah, or at least something that indicates why she's off the grid. Which to me, it's just there's play. It's like they don't necessarily have to pull a Rogue One and have the scene end with her dying. You just need to make sure to explain why, because another thing, we do have Boba Fett and the Mandalorian running around post Jedi. Ooh, why wasn't Slave One, at the Battle of, why wasn't Slave One at the Battle of Exegol? We do have at least from Obi-Wan to New Hope, we have about 10 years.
Yeah.
About 9 to 10 years. So there's plenty of time for Reva to go off the grid and be unavailable for the original trilogy. We do, there is, trying to think, there is a way, and it doesn't have to be that she gets, that Vader hunts her down and is like, I'm going to finish what I started. Say bye-bye to the head. We do have time for her to be, basically be away from major galactic events. Maybe she, the Reva series, I could see her trying to get her, get back to the light side of things and, try to find inner peace. And then at the end, she could always just pull an Ahsoka and just forget the Sith, forget the Jedi, find her own path to the Force. And part of that being, I'm just going to chill. I'm going to chill out here. I'm going to go out here to this little area over here, just chill, and the universe can take care of itself.
I feel like there's a lot of people who are involved in the Force, the Jedis and all that, who have kind of made an art of becoming a hermit.
Yeah.
And disappearing for long swaths of time and coming back, in places we don't anticipate. We saw that with both animated series because, Clone Wars started, then Rebels started, then Clone Wars ended in between all these movies. And there's going to be, like anything else that happens, you think about the way this planet is. We may know something's happened on another part of even just this country. And we hear about it, but it doesn't click because it doesn't affect our everyday life. So then, you tend to forget things. So it's really easy in a universe to get lost.
Yeah.
And we see it happen time and again in these various movies, TV shows and everything else, where characters disappear, come back, and we get these little one-off series that kind of tell us what they were doing, how they got there, where they came from, and what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the reasons that they've been so popular.
Well, and also, I mean, we're talking about the galaxy of Star Wars. There are plenty of planets where people just get to, where people, basically disappear, just kind of go off grid. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, wait a minute. It's that guy. And, it's just like, wow, you've been, and then also the fact that like Tatooine is in like the butt end of the galaxy, it's freaking, it's like way out there, and, there are other planets where, and think about also another desert planet. We had Jakku, which has all, it had all of those, you had all of those little scraps and stuff, but, think about the fact that there was a lot of information that Rey knew about, but wasn't like, oh yeah, this. It's like, oh wait, this is real? I'd heard about it, but it's for real? Really? I mean, think about it this way. It's like, yeah, what what other like just think about the fact that all this stuff that happens, and some of it, people are like, oh yeah, that thing, and then others are like, so wait, so there was this and that. What?
Okay, if we start thinking too hard, though, our brains might explode. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you just kind of go, wait a minute. So there was this, and that. Oh, okay.
Speaking of Tatooine, this series is the free bingo space on my No More Tatooine bingo card, right?
Well, unfortunately, though, since we do, if they do Obi-Wan like season 2, we may get some more Tatooine. If we do have the second book of Boba Fett, or whatever they want to call the series, we may get some more Tatooine. So, it is, we might be getting some more Tatooine, just a little bit.
Speaking of which, I don't think they should do a season 2. Like, I'm on the side of just pack it up and move on to another character. We don't need any more filling out of Obi-Wan at this point. We've filled out the prime of his career or his life. Now we got to the middle point where he does his hermit role.
Yep.
And I don't think there's any more filler to be filled up on. Like,
I know that
you can move on to Anakin or Darth Vader. We need a Darth Vader show. Like, where?
I know you kind of want to know, where did it go?
Oh yeah. Or you know what they did drop hints about another Star Wars character, Quinlan Voss, because they do name drop him, and Obi-Wan saw like a mirage or something of somebody when he was out, when he and Leia were traversing. So you could always, you could have you could use the Reva series and pick up from that point. I suppose if you do, they do the Reva spinoff, that we could have Obi-Wan show up in there, at least in a cameo capacity. Like maybe she does do at least one little trip to Tatooine to kind of be like, okay, let me talk. I'm going to talk to Obi-Wan, get his thoughts on, on this. So you could, the door is, you could, I do see your point, Zion. That it is kind of one of these things where, okay, where do we go from here? How do we, what else do we do with Obi-Wan? Because, they'd have to come up with a great story, so it's not just coming up with excuses for him to leave Tatooine
again. Exactly.
Yeah,
because at this point, he shouldn't.
Yeah, and it would get boring. It's like, dang, the Chipotle on Mos Eisley closed down, and I really want barbacoa. Oh, there's one on Dantooine. Okay, I suppose I can just take a weekend excursion. Like, yeah, it is.
At some point, the being a hermit needs to stick.
Yeah, it does need to be him, staying around. Like I said, you could have him show up in like a Reva spinoff, at least to be like, at least for her to take like a minute or two and be like, oh, I wanted to ask you about this.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about this, and him, having like a prototype of the wise man, and just be like, well, what you really need to do, I would recommend going to this guy who lives on the outskirts of Mos Espa. He's got some really good stuff that you can take that will help clear your mind. Believe me.
Yeah, that might start to getting just a tad bit weird.
Yeah.
If anything, they could start doing things with the High Republic, but then you would have to start building a whole nother universe because you have nothing to tie it in with minus
Yeah.
Yoda.
Yeah, I mean, the High Republic is already getting stuff in like books and comics, so you have to be careful that you don't start running into, you have to find that sweet spot where it's like you're able to play, but you don't have to worry about like say, you don't have to worry about like somebody, having it clash with this series that Marvel made, or this young adult adventure. You got to find that sweet spot where you can insert a story.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that like right now, like where everything is, the Star Wars could benefit from like a Han Solo type character. Like Mandalorian was, Mando was like kind of like that guy for like the first 2 seasons, but then everyone from every other series jumped in, and so he's kind of not like his standalone thing anymore. At least I hope he still is when season 3 comes out.
Yeah,
but yeah, like. Just have a guy. Like you don't need a lightsaber or the Force. Hell, you even have the Force and still use a gun. I don't think I've ever seen that yet. Or just someone who has no concept of how standard Force stuff is, like light side, dark side, just has the Force and just uses a gun or just something.
Somebody who actually would be interesting to do. Somebody would be interesting to do. And you'd be bringing a character back that people have been, that from the old, from the Legends canon. How about just a series with Dash Render?
Interesting.
Bring Dash Render in, and be like, okay, we're going to, bring him in, and have the stuff we know and love. But also kind of throw in a little bit, maybe throw in, you could throw in his ship, you could throw in the Outrider, because technically it's already showed up. If you count the squint or you miss it appearance in New Hope after Lucas started doing special editions. But yeah, have Dash Render in the Outrider, and just he would be an interesting character. Either do another post Jedi thing, or maybe have him. Have his adventures and have him kind of be in the background as this stuff goes on. Like, I've always thought what would be kind of, would be kind of cool, do a series that takes place like kind of on the periphery of the bigger events that we've seen. So like, for example, when the Death Star blew up, what did somebody like on another planet, hearing about how the Empire had a super weapon and the rebels destroyed it, what was their reaction?
That would be cool.
Or what would happen, what about that same person about a year or two later when the Empire defeats the rebels at Hoth? Like, did they kind of lose a little bit? Did they get a little bit of, did they get disheartened? Did the local Imperial Glee Club be like, see, you're all like, oh, rebellion, rebellion, rebellion. Well, they just got their butts kicked. So yeah, okay. Are you gonna be smart mouths about your little rebellion now? Huh?
It would be so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, do something like that. Like, what's going on? While we're focused on like, here's what would be, what would be really awesome. Have something. Okay, what I would, if you give me the keys, to the toy chest, and you say, okay, we want you to do a one-off, like this one-off Star Wars thing. Something I would do is I would have this kind of like, imagine a submarine type of adventure, but in the Star Wars universe, taking place at the same time as Return of the Jedi. So, while you have the Rebel fleet at the second Death Star, you've got like this one Rebel cruiser going toe to toe with like maybe a Star Destroyer. They're all doing the whole hide and seek with like asteroids and stuff like that, taking shots at each other. And then imagine what happens as they're doing this fight, and then all of a sudden, both sides get a message on their comms going, the Death Star has been destroyed. The Emperor is dead. Like, what's everybody going to react to? You know, how are they going to react?
Right.
You know, what are the Imperials going to do? Are they going to be like, well, forget it then. We're going home. You know, or are they going to be like, okay, avenge the Emperor? Or are they just going to be like, you know what? We surrender. Fudge it. What's the dang point? You know, or maybe have something that takes place in the immediate aftermath. You know, imagine there's a planet under Imperial occupation, and the Empire's been destroyed. You know, the Death Star's destroyed. The Emperor's dead. Vader's apparently dead. What is someone going to do if you're an Imperial governor in this place and it seems like everything's lost? I mean, are you going to double down? You know, there are stories you can do. There are stories you can do, and hey, you can even. Yep. There are places you can go.
The hard thing is that there's so many different areas they can go, and I know that they want to start moving away from the story of Skywalker, to try and get some of the other side stories like you talked about.
Yep.
I think it'll just be interesting. I think that with the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and Obi-Wan all having done really well, and very well received, does that mean that they're going to keep doing things like this? I do like this series. I mean, I love a good movie. Do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the series has a certain availability.
Yeah.
That is really nice. Because I don't always have flexibility these days right now to go to a movie theater when both my husband and I are both free at the same time. And I just love it. We actually power watched this over the course of one evening. I don't know if I recommend that, but it was fabulous. We happened to have one night we were both off at the same time. And I want more of this quality. I want more of the acting ability, the writing ability, the directing. I want more like this. I've just been so happy with what they've produced. And I don't know where they can go next. Let's be honest, all these things that were suddenly made non-canon could become canon again in other ways, because we have all these characters from the animated series, from the books, from the comic books that just they could have so much fun with. And I want to see them do something more. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I want them to do, because I don't want to sit there and predict. Just keep doing what you're doing and give me more.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I wouldn't mind for the next Disney Plus Star Wars spinoff, Mace Windu. Where's my mother effing hand? Where's my hand?
I want to see that.
Yep, just Mace Windu with like a stump knocking on every doors in the bottom, in the bottom tier of Coruscant, going, "Do you have my hand? I lost my hand." And then, final episode, he sees a kid playing with it, like horsing around with it, and he goes, you give me back my hand. Give me back my hand.
Personally, I know that I would never get it because of previous things, but I'd like another Droids miniseries.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, like the Droids. Are you talking about the Droids cartoon from the 80s?
Yes, but like, because now we have like a whole bunch of droids. Like, we have battle droids, we have assassin droids.
Oh yeah.
Droids.
All I gotta say is, let's have more stuff like that Droids cartoon in the 80s. If you want to try and like, make it a little bit more mature, that's fine. I just have one request. If they're gonna do, if we do like a new Droids cartoon, please have an updated version of Trouble Again by Stuart Copeland as the theme song. Please. That's all I ask. Let's just do an updated version of In Trouble Again, because I love that song. I love it. I thought it was a great theme song for the series.
You know what I would like?
Okay.
Do you remember how Boba Fett was colored?
Y'all.
I wish they would keep that colorway just for that series and not acknowledge it. Kind of like how there was a series that came up with a Gundam, and there's a lost episode, and it's awful because of the animation quality. They remade it recently and added the animation quality as part of canon. So like, they gave like an inverse explanation to why it looks that bad. And so like I was thinking, this Boba Fett's beige with baby blue and blah blah. What if like all that we know of Boba Fett is just green, and then just for this one bit, beige, like he had an 80s moment and just said, you know what, beige.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, or it's like, or taking your Gundam example, it's like when they did Endless Waltz, and they introduced the Endless Waltz designs, and we're just led to believe this is how they've always looked.
Exactly.
It's just like, okay, whatever. Hey, sure, fine, whatevs.
Wings.
It's okay.
It's like, okay, that this is where we are now. Okay, sure, fine, whatever. I'm good.
Yes, please, no more Skywalkers, please, because we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love the characters, and there's that part of me that would always secretly really like more.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there comes a time and a place where you need to move on to the other characters. There's so many other characters.
And give poor Mark Hamill, a break.
Give James Earl Jones a break, because they keep bringing him back, saying, "Okay, now can you voice Vader again?" And
just one more time.
And he's probably like, okay, for this one line, okay, then the line becomes a paragraph, and now the paragraph becomes a 6 series, a 6 episode series, and then now he gets his own series starring James Earl Jones.
Sorry, James. Yeah.
Like, I'm done. I'm ready to move on.
Although, you know what, it would be kind of nice maybe it would be kind of nice maybe to have if we do give Vader his own series. It would be a fun meta moment. Give James Earl Jones a cameo as like some other character.
Yes.
And then have Vader meet up with James Earl Jones. Just for fun. I would say just for fun. Just to do it once. Once kind of be like, yeah, let's have a little fun like this.
Mm-hmm. And they have done that before too, like in I think the second season of Mandalorian, where they're in like the Resistance or the New Republic base. Mm-hmm. One of the close-ups on one of the rebels is the voice of Anakin from the Clone Wars.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he is the one that's nervous and about to shoot everyone. And he's just there. I'm like, wow, that's him. That's cool.
There you go. There you go. I mean,
I love it.
And again, maybe you could just, like if it was me, I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna do all the things. I'd have, a Vader spinoff where at one moment he meets up with James Earl Jones playing a character, and then whoever played Anakin in the Clone Wars, have him in there too, and just have like this, Vader moment, this multiple Vader moment. Because why not? Why not? Because I want the things. I want all the things. I want to have, I want
Vader
everybody
chooses this one guy to not kill.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even just have it that Vader, even just have like James Earl Jones and the guy from Clone Wars as like Imperial officials.
Yes.
That they're just kind of there, and and it's just, and here's here's, they're just there, and they kind of give they give Vader a little grief, and it's like Vader could just be like, if you were not who you are, I would kill you where you stand. And then that's a great little nudge, wink, wink moment. It's like, see, anybody from Lucasfilm or Disney listening to this, come on.
We got some great ideas, guys.
We got some great ideas. Give us a call. Give us a call. Email the podcast. Email the podcast. Look, I'm about an hour, 2 hours away by plane from California, from Anaheim. We can meet in Galaxy's Edge. We could discuss this over Ronto Wraps and Tip Yip. Ball's in your court, guys.
Works for me.
Yep.
I'll get in the car. I'll drive down.
Yep. Of course, knowing our luck, they'll be like, these guys have some good ideas. And then the idea that they'll go with is an entire series of Kylo Ren trying to go on like Star Wars eBay to find Vader memorabilia. It's like, hey, I think I found this lightsaber polish that Vader used to use. It's mine. Dude, it's just lightsaber.
It's not the lightsaber you're looking for.
No, he'll just be like, give it to me. I am the legacy of Vader. It will be mine. I found one of Vader's shoelaces. That's mine too.
Yeah, I would not want to be bidding against Kylo for anything.
It's like, you're trying to outbid me.
He has way too much of his grandfather.
Yep. I'm pretty sure playing on the beach as a kid, somebody would be like, and I'm king of the mountain, and then just be like, oh no, you don't. It's like, Ben, why'd you get so angry about him having the high ground? I don't know, it just angered me.
Oh no.
Well, hey, how about Cheers, but taking place in the Mos Eisley Cantina?
No. Okay, boy. Now hold on. But then here's the important question: who would be the norm? Who would be the norm of Star Wars Cheers? And no, you can't say Cliff Ratzenberger's character from Empire. That's too easy. Come up with another one. Nah, come on.
Yeah.
It's an easy one. But bam, there it is.
Come on. Star Wars Cheers, But then who would be like the Woody Harrelson? Greedo! There you go. Greedo would be the Woody Harrelson character. No, Greedo. I don't think you could thermal detonate that guy to get the bounty.
No.
And hey, you know what? Have a CGI guest appearance by B. Arthur. Tie it into the holiday special.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to the.
You now have beat the horse dead.
Yeah, I'm going into the dark side of this.
That's just the dark side. That's like the Dayglow side. I don't know what that is.
Oh, man.
I think we should just give our final thoughts on Obi-Wan and let the poor people go.
No. Yes. They must come to the dark side.
No.
They must come to the dark side.
I'll take you down, boy.
Come to the dark side.
The car and drive down there.
Yeah. Come to the dark side. We have spin-offs. But yeah, Obi-Wan definitely. Obi-Wan, I gotta give it an A+. This was especially as it went towards the end. It filled in gaps. It gave scenes like a greater like a new context. Like, this is awesome. I mean, honestly, Disney, keep it coming. Keep it coming.
I can give it a 7.8 to an 8. I liked it. It's not perfect by any metric, but is very watchable, and I will revisit it.
Sweet. Well, I'm going to give it a solid A.
Okay, nice.
I enjoyed it, and I agree with you. As it went on, I became even more fangirl every moment.
Yep.
I was just like, oh my God, yes! And absolutely in love with this, no question. And I want to see more along these lines. Surprise me, guys, surprise me.
Yep. Well, watch. Next thing you know, they'll, you'll get your wish. Coming soon to Disney Plus, Star Wars, the ice cream maker guy from Bespin. I'm still waiting on that. In this episode, he goes to Naboo for the intergalactic ice cream tournament, where they're going to love his new take on Gungan Rocky Road. I can do this all day.
On that
Different franchise. Franchise. And on that note, okay, seriously, on that note, it is now time to say goodbye to all our company. OBIWANKENOBI. See you real soon. Forgive me, Alec Guinness. I do this out of love.
Thanks for listening to Mark Who 42's Universe, with hosts Mark Baumgarten, Eduardo M. Freyre, Zion Quiros, and Vicky Jakubowski. This program was produced and directed by Mark Baumgarten. If you'd like to get in touch with us, please go to our Facebook page or email us at markwho42s.universe@gmail.com. You can listen to old shows at our website, markwho42.com, or even our YouTube page, markwho42. Mark Who 42's Universe, copyright 2022.